Hello everyone and welcome to a brilliant attacking game from round 3 of this year's Sinquefield Cup. It is Nepomniachtchi versus Anish Giri, both of them coming off of 2 draws. Nepo drew against Maxim and Gukesh, and Anish drew against Wesley and Ding. And this game, like I said, it has zero regard for king safety. It's a beautiful attacking game, and it's, not seen very often at this level. So let's check it out. Nepo with white opens with pawn to d4. We have knight to f6 by Anish, pawn to c4, e6, knight to c3, and bishop to b4. Okay, so it's a Nimzo-Indian defense. Obviously, we are in for a treat. e3, the standard or the normal line, we have castles and pawn to a3. Bishop captures and b captures, seen a million times. We have pawn to d6 and pawn to f3, and now knight to c6. There are a couple of other moves that have reached this position, or a couple of other games. For example, Sam Shankland had it against Lanier Dominguez this year in the American Cup, and Dominguez won very nicely with pawn to e5. But here we have knight to c6, and it is now as of move 7 that we have a completely new game. We have pawn to e4, grabbing the full center, and queen to e8. We have pawn to h4, pawn to b6. Anish wants to finger to the light square bishop, or maybe even bring it all the way to a6 to put pressure on that c4 pawn, which is usually a target when playing the Nimzo-Indian defense. Pawn to h5, bishop to a6, we have rook to a2, and knight to a5, going after the c4 pawn, but Nepo just plays pawn to g4. And you can see that the time on the clock for both of them is pretty similar, hour 45 minutes, hour and 44 minutes. And here Anish goes queen to c6. He could capture on c4 right away with something like, let's say, bishop captures, and after bishop captures, knight captures, you just bring the rook into the attack, rook g2, and that's Nepo's plan. He just wants to play g5 and g6, maybe even at the cost of a pawn, maybe some Tal-like sacrifice with g5, g6 captures, and h6 to maybe open up the h-file, all depending on how Anish defends. But Anish plays queen to c6, brings another piece into the attack, and now if he trades, for example, captures and captures, he will already have a very strong queen on c4. But Nepo continues with his plan, rook to g2, and Anish captures on c4. So bishop captures, and queen captures, going after the c3 pawn, and knight to e2. Now, if I told you that this was a game between Nepo and Anish without telling you who's playing with which color, just seeing the pawn structure in front of Nepo's king, of course you know who's playing with white here. Knight to d7. Anish invests some 10 minutes on this move, as it's very, very hard to make a move with black. But of course, you know that those pawns are coming forward, and you want to get the knight away from there and have your kingside pawns as flexible as possible. So pawn to g5, we have pawn to e5, and pawn to g6, just going straight for Anish's king. And the question is how to defend here. Well, Anish played f captures on g6. h6 looks very, very interesting, but it just doesn't look something a human would play. Like bishop captures on h6, pawn captures, and queen to c1 looks very, very tough to defend. Like king g7 captures with check, king captures, queen captures on h6. Maybe you can defend this, an engine will defend it, but I mean, two rooks, a queen, a passed pawn already on h5 doesn't look very pleasant. You have to start running away with your king right away, and okay, maybe that way you escape. Or even better, after king to e8, rook to g7, but still you just escape, king to d8, and the king escapes. So it is possible to play like this. Like I said, not a very human thing to do. F captures on g6, h captures, and now rook captures on f3. We have g captures on h7 with check, king to h8, and now rook h to g1, going after the g7 pawn, rook to f7 defending, and now the move from the thumbnail. I think this is the most beautiful move of the game, as it allows, it's not a winning move or anything, it just allows Nepo to remain in the game and keep the position very, very complicated. Because if you play something weird, well, once rook a to f8 lands, there are no more problems for black, and black will be the one playing for the win here. But after bishop to h6, it is no longer possible. You cannot play rook a to f8. Now, if you play this, just bishop captures on g7, and you resign. King captures, rook to h2 check, king j8, and rook to h8 will be checkmate, or any of the possible double lines. So G captures on h6 is Anish's only defense. G captures on h6, and now rook to g8 with check. You cannot capture, otherwise just h captures on g8, well, queen wins the game. So king captures on h7, and now rook captures on a8, and the question is how to continue here. Objectively, it's still equal with queen to c6, putting pressure on e4 and on the rook. You are still very much in the game. But Anish goes after the e4 pawn this way. He plays knight to f6, and now d captures on e5, knight captures on e4, and queen to c1. And after queen to c1, there's just nothing more for Anish to do here. It's the c3 pawn is defended, but that is the least of your concerns. Do you see the threat with queen to c1? That's the idea. It's a fairly straightforward one, but just for fun, let's say knight to b3 is played because it wasn't. How do you win? It's actually a forced checkmate in 4. So have at it while I give you a couple of seconds. The move is, of course, rook to h8 check. You just clear the path for the white queen to capture on h6, and that's it. King captures, queen captures on h6, rook to h7 only move. Now you deliver a check here, and once the queen blocks, queen captures or rook captures is checkmate. So after this queen to c1 move, Anish played knight to g5, cutting off the queen's reach towards the h6 pawn, but it doesn't matter. It is, well, only a mild setback. If you capture, which of course it was not played, just queen captures, and you get checkmated however you play this. There's not even a move that black can make that makes sense. Like, the position is just so bad. Let's say you bring another defender into the game. Let's say queen h5 check. Now if you play queen h6, again rook to h8 just wins. If you play king to g7, now queen to h8 check. And it's just a very, very clean king hunt. Let's say king f5, knight to g3 with check, king to f4, queen to h4 check, let's say king e3, and queen to e4 will be checkmate. Or any well, line pretty much is the same. So Anish tries queen to h4 with check. He will at least pick up the rook on a8, but you know it will do him little good. Rook to g3, as the rook could not be captured. Queen to h1 check, rook to g1, attacking the queen, and the queen now grabs the rook on a8, but now it's time for Nepo to finish the attack. Queen to c2 with check, also b1 was possible. King to h8 and queen to g6, and there is no defense. Queen to f8 was played, guarding the h6 pawn. But now, even though, okay, you could still make a mistake. Let's say you play something like rook to h1, rook to h7, and there's nothing. If you now play rook to f1, you can just play queen to e7 and black defends. But after queen to f8, pawn to e6, and this is crucial as it takes control over the f7 square. Rook to e7, but now rook to h1, threatening rook captures on h6. Anish defends, and only now rook to f1, attacking the queen. And now if you go queen to e7, then rook to f7 just wins. So queen to d8, and still rook to f7. We have rook captures, e captures, and there is nothing more to be done here. Queen to f8, defending the h6 pawn. Queen to f6 check, king to h7, and here comes the executioner, knight to f4, and he was in this position on move 37 that Anish Giri resigned the game, as there is nothing more to be done here. A few more moves and it's checkmate, however you play it. Just to give you an example, let's say knight to c4 or whatever, really, just knight to e6. The black queen has no squares, like you play queen h8, but now queen f5 is just checkmate. So yeah. Really, really awesome stuff by Nepo. Featured some very, very cool moves like the rook lift, rook a2. Let's speed through it just really quickly. Like the standard Nimzo-Indian defense with this rook to a2 idea by Nepo, giving up the c4 pawn, which is, yeah, I don't know if you're an Nimzo-Indian player or if you play against the Nimzo-Indian, sometimes you prefer not to have your queenside pawns doubled, maybe with a move like queen to c2. But it's, you know, it's almost never a good idea to go after it with black, even though it's kind of the main idea when you're playing black. Like, you will have a very strong setup, the pawn will fall, but I mean, yeah, it will, but also this could happen. That's what I mean. I mean, this rook to a2, rook to g2 maneuver, absolutely beautiful, advancing of the pawns, clearing of the open h file, and then something with this bishop to h6. Wow, I mean, beautiful, beautiful stuff. And then Anish still could fight back, but he allowed Nepo to go on the king hunt, and that was pretty much it. Beautiful, beautiful game by Nepo. He also takes the lead alongside Alireza after this win. These are the standings after round 3. So Alireza and Nepo with 2 points. With 1.5, Fabi, Wesley So, Maxim Vashela, Graven, Pregnananda, and Gukesh and Dingliren. And with 1 point, Nodirbek Abdusatorov and Anish Giri. As they have suffered some losses. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. First game that we are covering from the Sinquefield Cup. If you have any favorites, use hashtag suggestion and I will gladly go over them. I would like to thank Michael Bowers, Carmen Polifronio, Robert Stadelman, Jack Mehoff, and the Guernsey Chess Festival.org.gg for your contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot. I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. Thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.